Welcome to this new auto news video for Saturday, July 18th, 2026. Today we're going to talk about BMW and Toyota, who want to save the combustion engine thanks to a revolutionary new fuel, about Bridgestone, which is finally bringing its airless, puncture-proof tires to market, and about Smart, which is forced to sell off its electric cars due to their low commercial success, and about Suzuki, which wants to compete with the Renault Twingo Electric with a brand new model, sold at an even lower price. I hope today's topics will interest you. If that's the case, I count on you to show it as usual by leaving a like, subscribing for the next videos, boosting this one if that option's available to you, and of course also by leaving a comment where you share your opinion about today's news. Smart is going through a difficult period. Between January and April 2026, the brand registered only about 5,300 cars across all of Europe. A disappointing result, far from expectations, and especially far from what Smart was able to achieve in the early 2000s. Let me remind you that with its only model, the Ford Fortwo, during the same period in 2001, for example, the brand sold almost 30,000 units 6 times more. Unfortunately for Smart, the brand abandoned the microcar market where it used to reign supreme to move toward the electric sedan and SUV market, a sector that is simply oversaturated. In any case, faced with these disappointing sales, Smart clearly has no other choice. This summer, the manufacturer is launching a massive clearance operation with very big discounts. To clear out its inventory until July 31, 2026, the brand will offer up to 8,000 euros off the entire range for the purchase of a new model, and up to 9,000 euros off for models already in stock. That's the case, for example, with the Smart No. 5, which is equipped with a 76 kilowatt-hour battery offering 465 kilometers of range, and fast charging at 150 kilowatts. It will be offered starting at 37,000 euros after the discount, compared to 46,000 euros previously. These big discounts mainly allow Smart to become competitive again against European models that continue to benefit from public subsidies. Indeed, the main problem for Smart is that these models are manufactured in China and in several European countries, especially in France, because of this Chinese origin. They simply cannot benefit from the various incentives for purchasing electric cars. So this discount does not allow you to buy a Smart for less than a competitor's vehicle. It simply allows you to pay for a Smart at the same price you would pay for a competitor's vehicle after the reduction obtained through government EV incentives. While some manufacturers are forced to slash the prices of their electric cars to attract buyers, other brands simply refuse to turn the page on combustion engines. And in fact, Toyota and BMW have just unveiled a new technology that could reignite the debate. And what if the combustion engine hasn't had its last word after all? That's exactly what Toyota and BMW want to prove. The two manufacturers have just launched a pilot project, a new partnership centered around a renewable fuel that is still largely unknown, which could power current gasoline and diesel engines without any modifications. As part of this experiment, Toyota and BMW have teamed up with Bosch, as well as the Spanish oil company Repsol, which has already been involved for over 20 years in developing renewable fuels made from waste and biomass. The fuel at the center of this news is Nexa 95 and Nexa 100. It replaces gasoline and diesel and is already being distributed at about 30 gas stations in Spain. We already talked about this fuel a few weeks ago when Repsol officially began selling it in gas stations open to the public. But Toyota and BMW want to go further. Their role is to provide a fleet of vehicles to Repsol in order to demonstrate that it is possible to use this fuel in existing internal combustion cars already on the road, without any engine modifications. According to Repsol, this fuel would reduce CO2 emissions by 70% compared to fossil fuel. Just like E85 or HVO, this is a fuel made from biological material. Biological with one big difference though, this one doesn't come from crops, but from recycling waste. That's the big problem with superethanol or HVO. To produce it, you need huge crops. And we can't fuel all European cars with this kind of fuel because literally all the food crop fields would have to be replaced by fields dedicated to producing these fuels. Here we're talking about a fuel. This fuel is made by recycling waste, and we don't lack waste in Europe, which should allow us to fuel more cars without having to sacrifice food crops. The first goal of this partnership is to run these BMW and Toyota cars without any modifications, with these exafuels for several months, in order to check their actual consumption, their real emissions, and their reliability, to make sure these fuels don't cause any premature wear to the engine or its components. Then, to try to convince the European Commission not to definitively ban combustion engines after 2040. by explaining to them that renewable fuels also have a role to play in reducing CO2 emissions related to automobiles. So it would be possible to use this technology to achieve decarbonization goals without sacrificing the entire European automotive industry by relying only on electric cars, especially when facing Chinese competitors who are at least 10 years ahead in electric car technology, and who are arriving month after month in greater and greater numbers in Europe. Developing these renewable fuels while still being able to sell combustion engine cars after 2040. This would allow European and Japanese expertise in combustion engines to be preserved, while avoiding sacrificing the European and Japanese automotive industries, and at the same time, continuing decarbonization efforts. If this first step is a success, Repsol has already promised that it will expand its EXA fuel distribution network to other European countries, such as France, for example. And there will be the third step in a few years, which is probably the most complicated one. And to succeed in proving that it is possible to produce this fuel in large quantities and at an acceptable price. For now then, this fuel will not replace traditional gasoline at gas stations. If this pilot project delivers as promised and production scales up, Toyota and BMW aim to show there's still an alternative to going fully electric, and that the combustion engine isn't finished yet. While Toyota and BMW are trying to save the combustion engine, Bridgestone, for its part, wants to revolutionize the way we drive. It's happening on the vehicle side with tires, specifically the famous Airless tires, which are finally being sold. I say finally, because Bridgestone has been talking to us about these Airless tires for 20 years. Tires that, without air, eliminate any risk of punctures and also eliminate any risk of blowouts. And they could mean savings for drivers, with potentially less maintenance and tires that need to be changed less often. This new generation of tires is called air-free simply because they're airless tires. This new generation of tires works without any compressed air. Instead of relying on air pressure, the tire uses a structure made of recyclable thermoplastic resin spokes, which support the weight of the vehicle and absorb road irregularities. There is still a thin rubber tread around it, just like on a traditional tire, which ensures contact with the asphalt. For this third generation of airless tires, Bridgestone has worked on an important development. They have developed a resin that is more flexible than in previous versions, in order to better distribute mechanical stresses and, above all, to improve comfort, one of the main drawbacks that had been holding back this technology for years. After more than 20 years of research and development, the brand is finally reaching an important milestone, as these air-free tires are now being marketed. Don't think you can just show up at Norato or Faux Vert to order these new tires, because for now they're only being sold for a very limited number of models. Basically just for cars that don't go over 20 km weight. So mainly small autonomous shuttles. Little electric microcars, it's a technical limitation, since for now Bridgestone admits that these tires are only suitable for low-speed use. Above 20 km/h, there are still several obstacles to overcome. Comfort, of course, rolling noise, heat management, but especially handling. All of these are essential factors before considering using them on more traditional production cars. For this reason, and because there's still a lot of work to do, Bridgestone isn't giving any timeline for a public release, but they have announced a version developed specifically for lunar exploration, where regular air-filled tires simply can't withstand the extreme conditions. There's still much work ahead, but progress continues. Though it may take decades before airless, puncture-proof tires are widely used. And what if Suzuki finally had the recipe for a truly affordable electric car, while prices overall remain high? The Japanese brand is preparing a new city car, which could be on the market as early as 2027. At a price below 20,000 euros, and we're talking about the price before any incentives, this future city car will directly compete with the new Renault Twingo Electric. And even though Suzuki hasn't revealed all its technical specifications yet, we know it should have a battery of around 29 kilowatt hours, which will give it about 210 kilometers of range. Typical values for this category. Don't expect versatility, and don't expect these cars to become your main vehicles either. These are secondary cars for commuting to work or going shopping. There isn't much more information about it except that we know its name, the e-Esky, and that indeed, if Suzuki manages to reach a price below 20,000 euros and also manages to produce it, so that it is eligible for rebates or various European tax advantages. We're considering a car that could challenge the Twingo if it offers faster charging, especially since the Twingo, for now, it's the only electric car on our market that sells for less than 20,000 euros before incentives. That will probably change with the arrival of the new Dacia and the new electric Citroën. Two CVs, but still, Suzuki will be among the first to make a move, and among the first to offer real, affordable competition to the electric Twingo, so we'll see if it works or not. In any case, that's it for today's news. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, as always, I count on you to show it by leaving a like, subscribing for future videos, and also by becoming a supporter through the join button below. See you again tomorrow, Sunday, for the last video of the week. Bye.